Welcome to the online info session. I know you are all pretty familiar with the school, and thank you for your interest in the DBA as well. I am Drikus Kriek. I am responsible for the doctoral studies here at the school, both, but I'm also the Dean of the Faculty of Postgraduate Studies, that under which auspices the doctoral programs are executed and conducted. And I will lead the discussion this afternoon, give you a small overview of a DBA program, and then hand over and give chance to my colleague Eva to also just say a few things relating to let me just for a moment. Sorry, just had to have a cough put out the way, and I didn't want to do that in your ears.
Sorry, I said.
And then we have some questions and answers whenever you feel. So this is how we plan the discussion. It perhaps wouldn't even take all the way that is scheduled there, like an hour, but it will give you some information on the program, and I think that would be helpful for you also in your decision making and making clear of what you want to do and go further as well. Eva, but now this doesn't want to tip over. Now it is on track. Maybe from my side, information on who are the participants. Maybe what if you would join in the program, not necessarily only in your own cohort, but also those who are already in the program. As you can see there, we have 12. We're in our third cohort of taking participants. We keep the classes very small for a number of reasons, mainly in terms of how to ensure that who we have are people who are not only willing, but capable of completing the degree, and also people who we take who need to be senior with international exposure, people who have wide experience in terms of their careers, but also people who are maybe in a point where they make a decision about where their next step or the next part of their journey then would be. So for us, the whole focus of the DBA, and I will talk about some parts of the DBA difference to the PhD just shortly as well, but I think why I say this at the first bit is that it is about the key word there, impactful research. We know that you come with executive experience, you are senior, and we would like to keep that focus of the DBA very much so that it is related to bringing that experience to the program and use that to do some research. And the research is, of course, to create and also distribute or disseminate knowledge, but always related to practice. That's why it is a DBA, because of the focus that it should be impactful research. And whether that impactfulness relates to the way in which you perhaps bring something new to your own company, perhaps how you link that to your own career and something that you have completed in your business, whether that needs to set you up for a transition into doing something others, all along the focus is on how to make that impactful and how to do the research related to the journey that you want to do, something that is meaningful in practice. Perhaps a good thing just to say something about the journey that we took into the DBA, especially those of you who are familiar with the schools, those of you who have done the MBA here or other ways also know the school. Perhaps some of you may have known that we started off with a PhD, but we converted that, the whole focus of the doctoral studies or the terminal degree studies, from a PhD into a DBA. very much related to the reasons that I mentioned before. The focus of the DBA is very much in terms of practice, in terms of links to the real world, to be impactful and to make that connection to your journeys as senior executives into linking that to practical research as well. Because perhaps you have the experience, the database, the links, the networks, and that brings it into a practical DBA way more than what a DBA perhaps could do. However, we built onto the 10 years of experience on doctoral level studies and how the journey has taken us through that experience, and we bring that to the DBA. Mainly because it is more focused on the ethos of the school. The school, those of you who know the school and been here in the MBA know that the ethos is about teaching, about practice, about impact. We were also the first of its kind in the region, Central and Eastern Europe, and specifically also the only from this region with AMBA accreditation. AMBA is the Association of MBAs. That is one of the 3 most prominent accreditation bodies in the world, and those that take a very small number of MBAs and institutions that they accredit, and also they accredit doctoral programs, the DBAs. And currently there are only 13 schools worldwide whose DBA programs are accredited with AMBA. So this accreditation also allows us to be part of a larger and a global DBA network, also business education network, but it also serves as a very clear and critical indication of quality and where as a school we also want to pitch our doctoral program to be part of the very best schools internationally. Perhaps that gives us a good opportunity to talk just a little bit about the difference between the DBA and the PhD. Perhaps that could be something that you have thought about as well. In the first instance, as I mentioned already, the DBA builds on management and work experience, whilst the PhD focuses more on education and your educational experience. Doesn't necessarily mean that education doesn't play a part in your DBA studies or also in the way in which you offer and apply certain things. That comes with a certain minimum level of educational experience as well. But more so that the focus of the DBA is based from the work experience and built on your management career up to now. Second important difference is that the DBA is focused on your career journey. That could be at a certain stage of your career, you reflect back and maybe want to document or research something that has happened over your career. It could also be that where you are in your career currently, you are contemplating what is the next thing to build and grow my current career. And how can I use the knowledge and the information and cutting edge research to grow and develop my own career currently? But it can also be used and is focused to say, but where shall I go next? How do I position for my next career growth? And how can a doctoral study help me to open up that career? Could be to be an expert in something, or to find something about an industry, or to acquire certain skills to take me to where I would like to be. I may want to know what are the drivers of leadership of CEOs or boards or something like that, and use that to accelerate my career growth. Whilst on the other end, the PhD is basically shaped to help you to build an academic career. The focus is on to make a scholar, an academic out of you, to help you to get into the world of academia through publication, through research, much more so than what it is to be focused on your own management career or your own leadership career. As I mentioned, it's also the DBA allows for much more of a personal focus linked to your career as a specialist or legacy, or for you to document something, as I mentioned. So you shape your study around what you're interested in, whilst in many PhD programs, you are dependent on the focus of the school or the focus of the supervisor or the mentor, or they will take you in, and once you are there, you have to study something related to what the school is actually good at. Now, sometimes this can even be to quite ridiculous levels. I know of somebody who was an executive, very senior executive, who wanted to do a PhD and then enrolled in a PhD, not at this institution, obviously. And his whole focus, he works in the manufacturing industry, actually in the telecommunications industry, but in the manufacturing part thereof. And his focus was, why he wanted to do the PhD was to study how to improve effectiveness and how to improve the way in which the organization can motivate their staff to be more productive and effective. That was why he wanted to do that. However, the school that he enrolled did not have that as a focus, and their PhD meant that in the end he had to write something about the impact of light on the productivity of an individual. Light. So he then basically gave up and said that this is not something that I'm interested in. Next difference is in terms of the fact that the DBA opens up multiple career options, including working or teaching at management education institutions, while on the other end, the PhD is mainly focused on creating positions as a lecturer, a professor, or then a researcher. I already mentioned that we allow for the research to be more applied, focused on innovation, on new things, and how to develop solutions, whilst the focus is a whole lot more on theory and the theoretical approach to management education in the PhD. Again, that doesn't say that there would not be a focus on theory and theoretical input and basic research-based practice from the DBA side, but it just means that the focus of the level of intensity is more to the one end than to the other. And this gives a kind of like a feel for the difference between these two terminal degrees. On the one end, much more personal, private, related to multiple careers. On the other end, very much focused to prepare you for an academic career. I mentioned before that there is an alignment, a much stronger alignment between the IEDC's MBA and what we are good at. Leadership, strategy, personalized learning. These, after all, a DBA in leadership and strategy. We also allow for this being more personal, to give you a chance, an opportunity to learn from other industries, from other candidates in the programs, their needs, their research, and what they bring to the discussions. Very practical, as I mentioned before. It gives chance to shape it around your own personal development, your own learning needs or career development needs. But still, it is on a doctoral level, and we make sure that it stays and remain on the level of a terminal degree, as what we mentioned also why our interest is and why the decision was also made to make that something that is accredited, or to the levels of accreditation that currently only 13 schools in the world actually meets. We focus on being impactful, perhaps the fact that you can leave a legacy. And as I mentioned before, we realize that you bring with you opportunity to access data that people that come from more academic space may not have. You have your teeth cut in an industry, in a career, and you can utilize that and utilize your access to data very specifically. If I can just briefly talk to you about the layout of the program. It is coursework and research, consists of coursework and research. And the coursework is covered in the first 2 years. And I will explain the different coursework just now. But then in the 3rd and the 4th year, it is focused on you providing a research output. Most people prefer that to be a dissertation and to defend that as a dissertation, but it is basically a research output. So if you would prefer to write a book or to perhaps use 3 different articles and put them together as a dissertation, we are a little bit more flexible as well. We work extensively with external faculty as our resource base for mentors. In that sense, we use people that come from various parts of the world, Africa, here closer to home, West Europe, North America. We use people that are internationally acclaimed mentors to assist with the study that you intend. We also have quite a few interactive research seminars. That basically because we realize we are all in this together. You learn as much from your colleagues in the program as what the professors learn from the way in which the professors deal with the research seminar or the topic or the proposed study from your colleagues. And that whole research seminar helps also to build our skills in terms of the methodology, learn from what other people do, and also learn about the industry and the studies that other people then in the class also do. I mentioned the courses. This is the DBA is called Leadership and Strategy, or DBA in Leadership and Strategy, for the very reason that those are the 2 disciplines that sits at the pinnacle of any business. As a leader, bringing the personal part to that, or strategy, the general management, the overview part of it. And we capture those 2 to say that this is the core focus of our DBA. We will not stop you if you want to write something about finance. As a matter of fact, just next week, we have somebody who defends a thesis based around more of a finance topic, but we put that within a strategic frame or within a leadership frame so that the focus remains on strategy and leadership. Actually kind of go from the point of view to say that these 2 courses are the only ones that fits perfectly with a business school. All the others you can find in other parts in the university as well. Marketing, you can go to the Department of Marketing and so on. But these 2 are the ones that are closest related to what a business school offers. We then also offer 2 research methodology classes, one qualitative and one quantitative. Most of our students prefer to do things related to qualitative research. They find that it's suited with their timelines and also what they want to do, but there are also people that perhaps because of their focus on numbers or focus on their career journeys or focus on statistics or what they do, or also maybe some of their previous research, would like to do quantitative research, and they do that then as they study methodology. We have also a course called Academic Writing and Responsible Research, which is an elective, but it is so critical for us because the whole notion of how to go about thinking about yourself as a scholar or as a researcher, that's so important to also know how to use that identity and link that to the way in which I communicate as a scholar as well. So we put that academic writing course early on in the process to allow you to position in terms of how you would want to do your studies, but also to allow you to link that to what it is that you want to deliver on.
Gabriel, imaš još dodati?
All these, I think there is just some noise that's been sorted. All these five courses are all offered as 1 week blocks, either 4 days or 5 days per module or per block, spread over the first year and a little bit. And then in the second year, we have an elective. There are a couple of electives that we pick from, but mostly the candidates prefer the one that we've been running over the past while, is to take 5 different days, but give 5 different perspectives from around the world on leadership and strategy. So we get somebody from America, somebody from the East, somebody from Europe, West Europe, Eastern Europe, and give different perspectives on what is happening in the academic world. They're academics for the most part in terms of their field, either strategy or leadership. And then there are 2 compulsory research seminars in here, 2 that you have to attend. And then here's 3 and 4 dedicated to your dissertation and your research. The leadership, as what we say, is focused on the fact that the whole focus is built around equipping you also to be a leader then in the future. These are some of the lecturers that we use. Prof. Nina Bundle is at the University of California in Irvine. She takes responsibility for the quantitative methodology class. Lisa Boyson, Antioch University in the US. She takes academic writing as her field. Albrecht Fritsche, he is from Rabat Business School in Morocco, but also Nuremberg in Germany. He is qualitative research. As I have mentioned, I'm here at the IEDC. I take leadership as my module. Peter McKiernan from Strathclyde, also previous chairperson of the European Association of Management and the British Association of Management. He teaches research seminars and also in the past have been involved in the academic writing program. Catherine Musline helps with the qualitative research program. And Nick Benedel is the founding dean of the Gordon Institute of Business Science in Pretoria. He teaches strategy normally in November in the year. And then, as I said, there is one more elective, the elective there where we get 4 or 5 different perspectives from people from other parts of the world. I know you know the IEDC well, but being part of this family also link you to the alumni clubs around the world with close to 6,000 members from 75 countries, and then over 38 years the IEDC had been educating more than 100,000 participants in the various programs. Finally, to do doctoral studies is a privilege because it allows you to think, to explore, to develop your questions, ideas, and findings and find some answers to that. It leaves you with a responsibility because it leaves you with that space that what you deliver need to be at a very high level of academic rigor, and it leaves you with a responsibility to create knowledge and disseminate that, but also it leaves you with responsibility towards your supporters, those at the work, but definitely also those at home and in your community. And it gives you an opportunity to make a contribution either through science and practice, but also through leaving a legacy. Perhaps I can ask Eva just to briefly say something around the application process, and then we can have some questions and answers thereafter, and maybe I can explain a few more things to you if you would like to. Eva, maybe just something about the application process?
Yes, thank you, Drikus. Hello also from my side. My name is Eva and I'm the program manager of doctoral studies at IEDC. I'm also in charge of the admission process, so I'm here for you to support you when you've made your decision to join the doctoral program. And since most of you have already been through an IEDC admission process for the MBA program, DBA application process is pretty much similar. So what we ask from you is to submit a completed application form. We ask for a certified copy of master's or MBA degree, which has to be translated into Slovene or English by a certified translator. Then we ask you to submit 3 letters of recommendation. A new document which is specific for enrolling into a doctoral program is a preliminary research proposal, which is usually a 2-3 page document where you introduce us a topic that you would like to be a research topic during your studies. Drikus, maybe you can also add something more about that. And there's 2 other documents. One is a motivational letter, why you are interested in joining the doctoral program, and we also ask for your latest CV. As we know that making such a step as it's enrolling into a doctoral program is, I want to just offer also my support or invite you to get in touch also individually, and I will gladly help you organize an individual meeting with Drikus, and we can talk about any details that you might be interested in before making that decision.
Thanks, Eva. We can certainly give some more time for questions in around that as well. But perhaps, as you rightly point out, just the focus as part of the admissions process with the research proposal. This is not something that should be seen as a barrier or an obstacle to you, but rather just an opportunity to just kind of like focus your thinking. It gives us indication of how well your idea, what you want to do, fits within the strategy and leadership focus of the school, and also how well that fits with the ethos of us as part of the DBA want to have something as impactful research, and that you've thought about how that relates to what you want to do is something that can have some benefit to you or to your company or to your society. So it's merely a 2 or 3 pager to help you to get your mind wrapped around what it is that you want to get. You may change that later on. As a matter of fact, one of the main things that we help you with during the first part of the study is to get to a research proposal, a proper research proposal that we help you with a mentor or a supervisor through the different courses in the program, so that you have a research proposal what you then can defend. You defend that as part of an examination process, and that then becomes the real proposal. So this is kind of like just a seed leading into that may be of benefit and help. I mentioned earlier that we are AMBA accredited, but part of the AMBA accreditation, that by then there were only 10 schools who were accredited. We joined forces and we wrote a little booklet called the Doctor of Business Administration, the DBA, taking your professional practice to the next level. And that helps also to clarify some of the challenges that you may have, or some of the questions relating to who actually are interested in the DBA, the profile of MBAs, how it would be the difference between DBA and PhD, even more than what I have already currently described. Focus on lifelong learning and how the DBA fits into that. Maybe also focus on your identity as a DBA holder or a doctoral holder. Some of those things are discussed in here, and if you are interested, you are more than welcome to contact Eva as well, and Eva can forward that to you if you would find that helpful. And that is about it, other than gladly take some questions and see if we can assist you in some of the thoughts or some of the concerns that you may have. Well, that's it from our side. I can just extend the invitation that Eva already offered about if you want to be in contact with any one of us individually, want to have a chat with me, or want to come around for a coffee, you are more than welcome. And we look forward to see you as part of your journey and to be with you as part of your journey towards a DBA pretty soon.